Hi, it's Dr. Shelley, and you know my superpower is teaching. And so here we go in Big Mama's playlist. We're going further. Now, you know, this video that we're going to talk about now is helping the public understand what happens when you digest food or anything else you might put in your mouth, right? And so the first two videos, I'm not sure if you know, but the first two videos talked about the basics of nutrition. In other words, what happens when you put a bagel in your mouth, and why is a bagel maybe a lot worse than a piece of bacon or a handful of almonds, right? Okay, so if you missed those two videos, I suggest you go back. It was called Basics of Nutrition Part 1 and 2, but we're going to go forward now. Now, Big Mama, remember, that's Big Mama's playlist. Big Mama has swollen ankles. Big Mama has a very large belly. Big Mama has diabetes. Big Mama has high blood pressure. Big Mama has a lot going on, and we worry about Big Mama constantly. I see Big Mamas all the time at the hospital. I take care of Big Mamas every single day. And so I'm trying to help Big Mama live so long that her great-great-great-grandchildren enjoy her. So let's go forward. We are now talking about the basics of digestion. And if you don't understand digestion, then it will be very impossible for you to understand diabetes. So let's go forth, shall we? Let's say that you went, because you're an equal opportunity employer, and you went to McDonald's on Monday and Burger King on Tuesday and Wendy's on Wednesday. Because again, you're an equal opportunity employer. And if you went to McDonald's and got the Big Mac, or if you went to Burger King and you got the BK whatever, and you went to Wendy's and got the number 2, because I don't know, if I'm going to go to Wendy's, I'm going to do it up, right? That's how you think? Yeah, I know. And then you got the pop and the fries and everything else with it, right? And so you took a bite. Let's just take McDonald's since it's the most popular restaurant typically, especially when kids see that big old yellow M. Let's take a bite out of that Big Mac. Now, the first thing that happens when you take the bite out of the Big Mac is you start to dissolve the food and chew the food, and you get a little saliva mixed in, and you mix up the food, right? And you make it so soft that you send it down the esophagus. Ain't that right? And the esophagus, which is the tube, the food tube, right? It goes to the left, to the left, to the left, like Beyonce. Well, where does it go to the left? Well, it goes in your stomach. So you went and bit the Big Mac, you chewed the Big Mac, you sent it down the food tube, which is the esophagus, and then you sent it to the left, to the left, to the left, like Beyonce. When you sent it to the left, to the left, to the left, like Beyonce, I like that. Y'all like that? I'm sorry, let me stay focused. I'm so sorry. When you sent it to the left, you sent it to the stomach, and in the stomach, things hang around for a little while, about 4 hours, depending on what you ate. So you're sitting in the stomach, the food is just sitting there chilling like a villain, but it's mixing with something. What is it mixing with? Well, we got to go back to 9th grade. For some of you, 7th grade. For some of you, like me, who dropped out of high school, college. Wherever I got to go to get you there with me. When the food sits in the stomach, it mixes with hydrochloric acid. Oh, I said it, acid. You know why that matters? Because a lot of y'all get a lot of heartburn, which means that the food in the stomach is coming up the esophagus, and you're getting heartburn because the esophagus is near the heart, and so you called it heartburn. That means that so many of you who get heartburn are looking at antacids and I don't know, Nexium and Protonix and Prilosec and all those things. And you take a lot of those medications, maybe longer than you should based on the package insert, which says you should only be taking them for 2 weeks. And that actually is interfering with a little of your digestion. But that's neither here nor there. Let's stay focused. Your food sits in the stomach for 4 hours on, give or take a little bit this and a little bit that. It's mixing with hydrochloric acid. When it's mixing with hydrochloric acid, at that point you're absorbing a lot of really good nutrients, vitamin B12 and iron and calcium, and you're absorbing your vitamin D. I mean, it's really a time when your body gets a few nutrients in. Now, as that food leaves the stomach, and slowly enters your small intestine, you start to release some chemicals and hormones from other organs. For example, this is a diabetes issue, right? So we can't ignore the pancreas. At that time, the pancreas is releasing some insulin, and you know what insulin does. It takes any sugar, which you learned in video number 1 was a carbohydrate. It takes the sugar, i.e. carbohydrate, and it breaks it all the way down into a glucose molecule. Now, glucose and sugar and carbs, same exact thing. So it doesn't matter if you had a soft pretzel or a cookie, it's still a carb. It doesn't matter if you had a rice or Rice Krispies treat, it's still a carb. It doesn't matter if you had spaghetti or you had garlic bread, it's still a carb. Some of you had both at the same meal. It's still a carb. Doesn't matter if you had Kool-Aid back in the day, or juice, or pop that I told you to stop piling up in your garage. It doesn't matter. It's still a carb. And the pancreas is needed to digest all of it. So it's going to break it on down, honey, into glucose, sugar, straight sugar, glucose. You know about that. And that glucose, what did we say? It's going to go straight to the muscles, and you're going to be jamming and dancing and line dancing and jamming and doing you. You might be doing something a little bit different than that. You may have energy to go jog around the block. You may have energy to go walk your dog. You may feel pretty good when you get that carb in because it is energy. Once the muscles have been fed a little bit of energy or glucose, that glucose we already said was going to go somewhere else. Where did we say? Do you remember from the other videos? To the liver. Why the liver? Well, because you had to store it for tonight when you were sleeping and weren't eating any sugar. And then where's the other sugar going? Well, it's going to go to the tummy. We said the tummy before. You got to remember I said the tummy. But let's talk about the other parts of digestion, because that was just the pancreas. The small intestine is known to absorb the food. Sometimes you have a lot of fat in your food. If you have a lot of fat in your food, whether it's eggs or bacon or nuts or butter, my favorites, then that fat is going to literally need to be broken down a little bit better. That's where your gallbladder comes in. I don't know how many of you have had your gallbladder out, but most people who had their gallbladder out, they got a gallbladder attack after they ate a really high fat diet. Yeah, they had French fries and wings and all this kind of fried this and fried that, and they got a gallbladder attack. Well, what was your gallbladder supposed to be doing? Your gallbladder was supposed to be breaking down that fat and making it easier to digest, and then your liver was supposed to make a chemical and let it get stored in the gallbladder to break down the fat. So let's get a typical fatty food. Let's take some French fries. If I had fries with my Big Mac, then those fries would go through my body the same way I said everything else would. And the liver would say to the gallbladder, because the liver is here, the gallbladder is right behind. They live back to back. You know, the house here, there's a house behind that one. That's the gallbladder. The liver makes the bile. The gallbladder stores the bile. The liver and the gallbladder are very involved in breaking down fat. That's why if you get your gallbladder out, it's okay. You still got a liver, and it still makes what the gallbladder stored, bile. When bile breaks down the fat, you get chemicals called VDRL, not VDRL, oh God, VDL or LDL. Some of you know that. Low density lipoprotein, LDL. You've even learned that maybe there's some pills you can take to lower your LDL. You've been taught that fats will raise your LDL. You've been taught all of that, or VLDL, right? So if you're breaking down this fat and we use it for a multitude of things, what are the good things that fat does? Well, it feeds your brain. Sorry, it does. You've been led to believe it's a monster. It's not. It feeds your brain. Also, fat is going to be needed to fight infection and to fight all kinds of issues because it helps you absorb fat-soluble vitamins. A big vitamin is vitamin D that it helps you absorb. Fat is also important because we know when you use the bile that the liver produces and the gallbladder stores, It's used to give your stool the color brown, which is important. You don't want black stools. That's something you should report to the doctor. Now, so what about the protein? Because the meat in the Big Mac was the protein. What happened with the protein? Well, the protein was used to make something called albumin, which is a protein in your blood to help you fight infection and to keep you from getting starvation. Yes, it is muscle. It is great muscles. It has to be there for you to have muscles. So this is the deal. But let's continue. So far we've used the mouth, the esophagus, the stomach, the small intestine, the liver, and the gallbladder. And we talked about the pancreas, which is right up in here. Now, what happens after you're all done digesting the food? What exactly happens then? Well, the waste product goes to your large intestine, and here's where a lot of people screw this up. In order for you to poop, I told you this was called the rooter to the tutor. In order for you to poop, you need the waste product itself, you need lots of water, and we actually have a little sodium going in there with it. So your body gets rid of some of that salt. So waste product, sodium, water. Only those three will make you poop regularly. So if you're not going basically once a day, you need to do what? Increase the fluids. What else do you need to do? Think about some fiber. What else do you need to do? Get your butt off the couch and walk. Don't you walk your dog, and don't your dog poop every time you walk him. Did you pick it up, or was you ghetto, fabulous, and ratchet and left it on other people's driveways and lawns? Did you do that? Yeah, that was a side note. I don't know where that came from. Back to digestion. When you walk your dog poops. Get your butt up off that couch and go walk so you can poop. Drink more water so you can poop. Why, Shelly? Why, Dr. Shelly? Why is poop so important? Oh, honey, do you really want that waste product staying in your body forever? I doubt it. Get it out, because sitting in your body forever is toxic. Yeah, you hear people talk about, oh, honey, I did a toxic cleanse. I got rid of all that stuff out of my body. You can do it too. Just poop every day, fool. I'll talk to you later because I got more about this diabetes. And what is a hemoglobin A1C anyway? What's the test for diabetes? Should you believe it? Yeah, you should.